This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and Smackdown Week continues here. The LG G2 is going up against all the big guys or gals, depending on how you want to think about your phone, that is. Right here, the LG G2. Right here, the HTC One. Both top smartphones, flagship Android phones, if you will, that are going to be available on every major U.S. carrier. And we're going to look at them now and see which one's better for you. Here we are with another Smackdown. LG G2, the aggressive new phone on the market, just wants to go head-to-head with every other major phone available right now, at least Android phone for now. So right here, LG G2, HTC One, both showing sections of the same lovely antique Jaguar sports car right there, so you can get an idea of how the screens look in terms of color calibration and similarity, because that's really going to be the closest race right here. Besides the fact they're about the same size, obviously, though one has a significantly larger display, they both have beautiful IPS displays with wide viewing angles, nice colors, viewable outdoors. If that's something that's important to you, and probably is if you're watching this Smackdown, you're getting that with both of these phones. I would say the HTC gets a little bit brighter on its maximum brightness setting. Handy if you're using it outdoors, otherwise it doesn't really matter so much because they're both more than bright enough. Now where the LG G2 pulls ahead is the fact that it's about the same size phone. If we put them right on top of each other, you can see that. Give or take a half a millimeter here and there, you're looking at the same size phone. Well, the LG G2 has a half an inch bigger display. So that's a lot of added screen real estate. And, you know, particularly if you watch a lot of movies on your phone, or if you do a lot of reading too, or getting more words on your screen counts for something, or having the text be just ever so slightly larger too. The LG, well, it has a little special something. In terms of quality, again, really, really neck and neck. The LG is slightly better in terms of color calibration. The whites are white instead of slightly pink like they are on the HTC One, but minor difference there. The HTC One gets a little bit brighter in its defense. Both have very good viewing angles. Both are gorgeous to look at. Some of the nicest displays on the market. Now, why is the HTC One just as big if it only has a 4.7-inch display? Because it has these boom sound speakers, a stereo speaker top and bottom. You see the grill here, you see the matching grill up top. Really amazingly good audio for a smartphone. The LG G2 has a single speaker here, even though you see two grills, only one of them is actually a speaker. Just average volume and quality. Now, some people have complained that it was a quiet phone. It's really average. The thing is that when you're holding it like this, you're going to block the speaker, chances are. If you're holding it like this, you're going to block the speaker. So what you have to do is kind of cup your hand around it, and then it kind of aims the sound out at you, and then it becomes an average sounding speaker, but not nearly in the league of the HTC One. So to hear audio, we're just going to play a track on each of these. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like a phone at all. Oh, sisters, let's go wow. Down. Now let's try a track. I don't have the exact same track loaded, but we're going to try one on our LG. You see, it's not horrible. A little bit thinner. Certainly you don't get stereos, so you don't get the stereo separation. But not horrible either. Now here's where they diverge. HTC One, beautiful aluminum body design with polycarbonate fill in the sides, that little white stuff that you see right there. Obviously, high quality, gorgeous phone. It's for those people who really appreciate the look of the iPhone with its metal casing, but, well, they want Android. Here we have plastic in all its glory, shiny, fingerprint-loving plastic. To LG's credit, the design of the curve of the back is very comfortable, and it's just deep enough that it fits in your palm, and it doesn't tend to shoot out like a slippery bar of soap the way, say, the Samsung Galaxy S4 does. And this will be available in this, well, bluish-black kind of color and in white as well, but not the same classy, high-styling look. If you buy a phone and you really want it to look like a quality piece of hardware, you appreciate industrial design, obviously the HTC One gets a big win there. When it comes to software, boy, we're looking at two very different philosophies here. LG goes kind of along the Samsung route. They just love to throw a whole lot of software at you. Both of these are running Android Jelly Bean 4.2.2, but what's on top is quite different. Now, HTC Sense in some ways is very clean. It's a lot like standard Android. Here we have our application drawer. The only thing is the scrolling is up and down. They do some enhancements. You get the weather up there. You get the time. On your home screen, you get blink feed, which you can choose to not be your dominant home screen, but it's always there. But not a whole lot done to the UI. In fact, we'd almost like a little bit more done. Now, to be honest, on some versions of Android, on the HTC One, you do get a little bit more. Like you get some shortcuts to your wireless radios and things like that. Those are the things that I kind of miss instead of having to go to the full listing. Our AT&T one still hasn't gotten that update. So you're looking at vast simplicity there. Now, on our LG G2 here, we have customizable icons. As some of them are not stock Android by default, you can choose from a bunch of different icons. You can change your software buttons. Notice we have software on-screen buttons here versus the HTC One that has a home hardware button and a back hardware button, but not the usual additional multitasking kind of button right there. LG throws a whole lot at you just about the kitchen sink. We have the Q-Slide apps over here, which is little widgets. You can watch our full review to see how that works, but you can actually have a little mini notepad running, floating on your screen, a little calculator, even a floating translucent video player going, and you've got access to a whole lot of other settings over here. And when we even look at our full settings, tapping over here, you can see that we've got a tab into separate settings kind of UI instead of the single scrolling list. So quite a different approach to the user interface. Here, a lot of added features. Now, some of them are pretty good. Like I think those Q-Slide apps are actually a pretty handy way of doing some multitasking on the phone. You get things like front and back simultaneous video recording, and both of these have some motion awareness. It can do things like quiet the phone if you place it face down. It can gradually make the ringer quieter as you're putting it towards your head so you don't deafen yourself answering the phone. The LG, in fact, can even answer the phone if you pick it up when a call's coming in and you put it to your ear. There's no right answer to this one, folks. This is not a true false kind of quiz. It's really what you like better. Do you like all the software features that are on the LG, or do you want something that's really clean and really sparse? Cameras, another important one. 2.1 megapixel cameras up front for both of these, which means better than average video call quality. Now on the back, the LG has a 13 megapixel camera. That's the Sony Exmor RS sensor. Really, really good camera. LG does some good camera software. They do just a good job with the camera. Traditional megapixels on this, but that's important for those of you who are taking pictures that you want to print in larger format, or you're using them for professional or semi-professional reasons. For example, I often use my phone to capture a picture of some product when I'm at a trade show and I don't have my regular camera handy, or if I'm taking a sneaky stealth shot of maybe an unannounced product. Those of you who work in the auto insurance industry or any other kind of job where you actually need some high quality photos and more pixels count in terms of resolution, this is going to be the camera that you want. LED flash on the back, by the way. Whole lot of software features on this. You can choose different color effects. You can use macro. You can do HDR, panorama, all that kind of thing. One of my favorite cameras on the market right now. Now, HTC, and again, watch our full review if you want to know everything about this. Their claim to fame here is this is a for ultra pixel camera. The sensor sites are larger on this. It lets in more light. So you're getting more data on the image sensor than you would with traditional cameras. So I would still say I wish they had gone with a little bit higher resolution on that. Not 4, maybe 8, like Apple's doing with the iPhone 5S. So you get kind of the best of both worlds there. You get something you could work with more with print and for semi-professional, professional purposes. That said, for those of you who just take casual pictures, really, they're beautiful pictures on this. You're just going to put them up on Facebook or on Twitter, shoot some HD video or full HD video. It's fine for the job. It's just not going to give you all the pixels that you might need if you're taking pictures for more serious reasons or even video. HTC does give you a lot of photo effects, color effects, that kind of thing. They're really neat. Zoe, which is a 4-second montage of photographs put together. So there's a lot of nice things going on there. Not quite as much in the way of manual settings and control on the HTC, but still, again, a good showing. It really depends on what it is you need and want from a camera. HTC really excels at low light shots thanks to that ultra pixel design. But I have to say that the LG actually does quite a good job with low light shots as well. Now, in terms of speed and performance, you're looking at different stuff here. New generation in the LG G2. This has a Snapdragon 800 CPU. We have the Snapdragon 600, which was last generation, latest, greatest CPU. Honestly, either of these is faster than anybody needs right now. Things are just going crazy here with Moore's Law, and CPUs are getting faster, and GPUs are getting faster. 1.7 gigahertz quad core on our HTC, 2.2 gigahertz quad core on our LG. Adreno 320 graphics, Adreno 330 graphics. Yes, there's a difference in synthetic benchmarks as you would expect for a generational leap in a Qualcomm processor. Day-to-day use, honestly, you're not going to feel the difference. Both of these are some of the faster phones on the market. Very responsive in the UI. Launching applications is very quick. Experientially, you're not going to feel the difference. Both of these are going to play 3D games just great. Now, to give you an idea of the difference in synthetic benchmarks on Quadrant, our HTC One scored 12,741, which used to be at the top of the heap, but our LG G2 scored 19,762. On Antutu, the LG G2 scored 32,990, and our HTC One scored 24,589. Graphics tests, likewise, you're going to see about the same percentage difference between these two phones. The LG is just going to be quicker. Does this matter to you right now? No, it doesn't. I challenge you to find anything that's really going to max out these CPUs or even get all 4 cores actually doing anything really intensive. But at the end of a 2-year contract, when goodness knows the Snapdragon 1200 is out at that point and you're starting to feel kind of left out, and especially those marketing people are going to make you feel like you need a new phone, the LG G2 will have a bit more punch. It's probably still going to play 3D games a little bit better 2 years down the road than will the HTC One. For those of you who don't play demanding 3D games and you just do everyday stuff on your phone, honest to goodness, they're both plenty good enough. Call quality on both of these phones is excellent. There's some of the top voice phones right now that you can get on the market, so there's no winner here. Data speeds are likewise have been the same for us. We've tested out several different carrier versions of these, and I can tell you you're going to get the same excellent LTE data speeds on these phones. Both have Wi-Fi 802.11ac, the latest Wi-Fi standard. They're both dual band. You get Bluetooth 4.0, you get NFC, you get a trusty GPS that works just fine. So all the core specs are going to be the same in that respect. They both have 2 gigs of RAM. Neither of them has expandable storage. With the HTC, you get 32 gigs of storage. With the LG G2, you get 32 gigs of internal storage. That's what you get. That's what you got. No micro SD card slot. Now with the HTC, depending on your carrier, you can order a 64 gig model version for more money. Right now with the LG, it's 32 gigs. There's no 64 gig on the market. Neither of these has a removable battery. They have sealed design. The LG, you might not think so at first, especially because they used to have removable backs, but this is a sealed design here. The only way you're going to take this back off is by being violent with the phone. Don't do that. 3,000 milliamps in here. LG cares about battery life. This is nice to see. Some of their older phones, they did not do well for battery life. This guy, even though it has a very large display, an incredibly fast quad-core CPU, battery life is really quite good in this. I have absolutely no trouble making it through the day using the phone heavily. If I use the phone just moderately, really I can make it at least a day and a half, which is pretty darn good. Our HTC has a more normal 2300 milliamp capacity battery, milliamp per hour. And you can imagine there's a little bit of a difference in battery capacity, but guess what? This is a little slower. It's a little CPU. It's a little bit smaller display. So battery life isn't as far apart as you might think. My HTC One has always done pretty well, beating out my GS4 in terms of battery life, but still, HTC One, by the end of the day, if I'm using it heavily, I will most definitely have to charge it. So it doesn't go quite as long. In terms of screen on time, I'm seeing about 45 minutes longer screen on time with the LG G2 right now. With both of these, you can't remove the battery, but have no fear. You can get those micro USB charging packs so you can plug into the port on either of these phones to charge them up on the road if you're far away from an AC outlet. Another thing to note is on the LG G2, the controls are on the back. You know, if you have the Verizon version, which we're going to have a video of soon, you'll see the buttons get a slightly different treatment here, but that's something you're going to have to keep in mind and get used to. It's really fine. It's okay with me. That's where your hand falls. Comfortable buttons on this one. You get normal buttons on the HTC, and pretty buttons, of course, because they really wanted to make it pretty. You got this spun kind of metal over here. There's your volume. We've got our power button up top. Some people find that annoying. They like it on the side. Doesn't bug me. Headphone jack is up top. That's where I personally like it. It's going to be on the bottom on your LG G2. Now we just found a cool feature of the LG G2. Look what happens if you take your finger off the phone. It's like a Ouija board. So it's a little bit slippery on the front face compared to the HTC One. For those of you who keep your phones face down, generally I don't find it walks across the table, but if you're using your typical kind of melamine business desk, you might actually have it go for a walk on you. Both of these have consumer IR remotes with applications that let you control your TV, your DVD player, your Blu-ray. You get the idea. HTC's is a little bit more about content discovery. It's Peel, so it likes to show you TV listings and suggestions and all that kind of thing. With the LG, it's just a basic remote. So to sum it up for you, honestly, I'm pretty torn myself as to which of these I would choose. If they only could merge into one perfect phone, right? But there never is one perfect phone. I adore the looks of the HTC One. I adore the quality aluminum build. I have found it durable so far. I've dropped that little bugger and nothing has ever happened to it. It's pretty sturdy. But the LG G2, wow, half an inch extra display without making the phone bigger, that's just nice. I do watch a lot of video on my phone. I really appreciate that. And it's faster, too. So for those of you who are very specs conscious, it has that in its favor. In terms of camera, again, it's really what you're looking for in terms of ease of use for shooting. HTC is certainly a very quick point and shoot, great for low light shots. If you go out clubbing and you take pictures at night, concerts of your kids at night also, good for that. But overall image quality still goes to the LG G2. A lot more pixels there to work with as well. And let's not forget those boom sound speakers, the stereo speakers on the HTC One. That's something that's pretty unique to them right now. You're really not going to hear good stereo sound from another smartphone on the market. The LG G2, as you heard, it's actually not that bad, but where that speaker is placed, you're almost always going to muffle it unless you make a pointed decision to hold it the right way. So that's the LG G2, pretty in plastic, and the HTC One, styling in aluminum. A lot of similarities, particularly the full HD displays, the fact that they're available on most every carrier, fast LTE, Wi-Fi, AC, good cameras. Hopefully now you see what the differences are between these two, and the decision is going to be easier for you. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to watch our video reviews of each of these phones, read our written reviews, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.